Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go out to thrift stores, or I go to estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I look for things that I either find interesting, or that I think are, I think they're nice looking, or that just interest me. And then I try to find out as much as I can about them and tell you guys about them. So here's what I got today. I'm pretty sure this shows up quite nicely on the camera. It's just such an interesting dish. It is actually a divided dish, if you can see it. Divided there in the middle. And it is a relish dish with an amazing design. I'll just pop it there. It has this beautiful rib pattern here, and then the other side it has all these pressed flowers. And you can see that the 4 points here make the actual feet. Now, if you just measure it up, you see it's 7.5 inches across, and with the little handle, about 8 inches. And if I'll just have a go at measuring it, the height, it's about 1 3/4 inches high. Oh, there we go. So I bought this in a thrift store. I paid $4 for it, and I ended up buying it because although it's clear glassware and I'm generally not about that, like I have particular taste or whatever, and I usually go for the stuff that has a particular color or that's, that is interesting and fun to look at. There's something about this pattern appealed to me so much that I had to pick it up. I had been in this particular thrift store a few times over the last few weeks, and I kept seeing this dish. And it was just, it's clear glassware. Effectively, nobody wants it. If you're in a thrift store, they will always have shelves of clear glassware in basically any kind of type you might want. If you're ever actually looking for like really quality, like say a set of nice wine glasses or something, and you're kind of okay with, there's dirt on my desk, and you're okay with it just being, plain clear glass, you can just go to a thrift store and buy some incredibly fine glassware for nothing. Because really nobody wants it. It's just not really, crystal used to be very popular and now it's really not. This, however, this kind of spoke to me as being something special, just because I could not get over that design. And it was so unusual. Like, I could definitely tell this is vintage and was probably Depression era. And the fact that it was clear is the only thing I was kind of like, maybe I don't want it. But I kept going back, I kept looking at it, and finally decided, look, I gotta buy it. It's too nice. So what exactly do we have? What we actually have here is a piece by Indiana Glass. This one's got a kind of an interesting history. I go grab the iPad again. And you can see this is obviously far more colourful than this. So what we've actually got here is a piece by Indiana Glass. Indiana obviously being one of the other big major glass manufacturers of the 20th century. And the pattern is called Killarney. And the reason it's called Killarney is because this looks like a Celtic cross. Apparently it's not actually called Killarney, it's actually called pattern number 8 or something like that. It's probably one of the earliest patterns that Indiana Glass ever actually produced. Indiana Glass they kind of got renamed and became Indiana Glass around sometime before 1910. So they've been producing glass most of the time in the 20th century. And so this is one of the very earliest patterns they ever did. And there's some little bit of information about it, and you see a lot of these popping up, these lovely kind of carnival glass pieces. However, we've got more, there's more going on here. These aren't Depression era, these are not real carnival glass, or at least like original carnival glass. So what I've also got is my book, which I have to say I'm getting quite a bit of a use out of it again. It is A Century of Indiana Glass by Craig Shenning. And this one is the book for collectors with the price guide, but to be honest, I don't really use it for the prices. Again, I'm just using it for identification and for information. This one I think is from the 90s. But anyway, if we take a look here, I'm going to try and get this on the camera. Here we go. A little bit. Right. So here we go. Killarney, number 8. Now, A lot of collectors include this in the pattern with the Narcissus spray patterns. Not early catalogues had this pattern listed on a different number, precluding it from being part of a particular. There's some crossover here. The pattern has been given the name Killarney by collectors because of its similarity to the Celtic cross, hence this lovely cross that you see here. There's a few different variants of the different pieces. This one is called basically the divided relish dish. So if you take a look at this, this appears to be an early pattern given the pattern number. However, if you have this pattern in amber, olive green, or iridescent gold, they were manufactured from the 1960s through the late 1980s. Like, if you see this in particular colors, this clear was the original one that they were doing. If you have it in a color, that means that it was produced when, essentially in the 1960s, 1970s, when the big glass manufacturers started doing reproduction carnival glass, such as this, which is where we get these colors from. This lovely kind, like the marigold, the olive. So I'll put that away for a second. Now I have some examples here as well. This is the oval handled sauce plate, and there's a few examples here. And then this is the handled. I've seen a couple of things called a nappy dish. I still can't figure out exactly what that is. So sorry, I gotta go look that up. It's come up a few times. So there are some differences in mold. Early pressings have a serrated edge, as you can see in the photo below. That is what we have here. And that's what I found fairly interesting. You see that this edge here is all scalloped and is detailed. What we've got down here, this is the round edge. They modified the molds in the 60s and 70s. And they were using these molds to produce this glass, but they made some changes obviously to do it. Apparently, Indiana smoothed out the edge at some point, most likely to reduce the chance of chipping. In addition, later issues have a closed handle, early issues have an open handle. Last but not least, on the newer pressings, the divider in the sectional dishes is not as tall as the earlier pressings. I have no comparison here to make, so you can make of that what you will. And what I've been trying to find out, effectively, when exactly did they start producing this? And unfortunately, nobody really seems to know. I've seen some information online, some of it which actually references this book, but like some people seem to think that they were producing this from the very start of Indian Anatlas, so they were producing this from like the 1910s. I don't quite know. I've been trying to kind of work out just from looking at the piece itself, like how old could this possibly be? And what I can tell you is that, look, it is good glass. It is very heavy, quite heavy. It has wear on the feet that I would think would be consistent with it being old, but I don't know if I can call it coming from the 1900s. Maybe I think the 1930s. It would be at least the 1950s, because Indiana reissued this pattern in crystal a number of times from the late 1950s to the late 1980s. I think it's going to be prior to when they started using these new molds. So I think the 1950s is going to be the latest this would be. It's possible it's from the 1910s, but it's hard to say. It's like, it's tricky, very tricky. What I can say about it is that it is incredibly finely crafted. This is, I just hit the camera. This is heavy, tough glass. I am not surprised this has lasted as long as it is. They said that they had issues with chipping, but this is a tough piece. Like, I have no worries about, like, just, I do get worried, like, if I find, like I find pieces that I think would be very delicate. This is not that. This is a piece which is designed for someone to slam it down full of relish and, you know, use it for their nachos or something. It is good, tough dinnerware. And it's really actually lovely to kind of mess with it and everything, because it feels so solid. It's like, I couldn't break this if I tried. I like it. It's fun. So the big question is, what is something like this worth if you actually see this glorious pattern in the thrift store? The unfortunate thing is that it's kind of not worth a whole lot, and it's a rare case where I think the scalloped edge is actually worth more simply because it's older. People know that this stuff is the newer stuff from the 1970s. And 1970s depression glass just doesn't really go for a whole lot. The original stuff, yes, the mid 60s, 70s revival, kind of not so much. Now, this price guide here has bowl, relish, handled, divided for $22 in crystal. And you can see that there's a few others here, like the olive iridescent gold and amber, and they have obviously quite lower prices. I was checking around on eBay trying to work out what this might be worth, and the long and short of it is that there is too much confusion between like when this could actually have been from, that people kind of don't know what to price them at. I've seen prices as low as about like $7 or $8 US, and then as high as $15 to $20 US even now, even though it's cleared glassware. Clear glassware has just been, you know, falling off a cliff apparently lately. So the real kind of answer is that I don't really know. I can say that I know my stuff, and I know that this is probably an older piece from the 1950s. I'm personally going to put it up on eBay, and I'm going to say it's going to be maybe worth $15. That's probably a fair price, I think, based on just research and what has actually been selling. Mostly because it's in great condition, and it's just so finely made. Good glassware. You can't go wrong with the old stuff. We don't make it like this anymore, really. So I'll put that away. So here we go. This is my small joyful thing for the day. I hope you guys like it as well, and thank you very much for watching.